Make some noise for your host, Kid Copious.
What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, common sense, and pot. There you go. Not pop, pot. So, title of the episode is The Branded Identity. And what is that? Is it just another cute movie title that I stick Brandon in somewhere? I don't know. Let's go Brandon. So always remember that. This guy's a joke. No, it's about looking at this man's identity. You know, he's a divider, he's a liar, he's a cheater, and he's a failure. And he's not a leader. He's a puppet. And as we're going to see, he's only concerned with the left-wing agenda, the far-left agenda. It doesn't matter what we want or need. It doesn't matter what we're asking for. It doesn't matter, how his policies are affecting America and will affect America for years to come. He doesn't care. He's a puppet. He's a puppet of a bunch of ideologists who love their pie in the sky dreaming. Wow. How am I supposed to read that? So let's just take a quick look at some of his different failures here. He was given the vaccine. Trump warp speeded it, got it going. He badmouthed it along with him and Kamala, but they got it. It was already in the pipeline. We got it up and running. It didn't really do what we thought it was going to do, or I don't know. Maybe the variant swooped in. I don't know, but it didn't seem to slow it down one damn bit. And he doesn't try to calm the nation. He doesn't concentrate on keeping us together and united. No, he splits it, vaxxed, anti-vax. He goes around blaming all the anti-vaxxers. For what? It's not their fault. Okay, they had nothing to do with the evolution of COVID. But he divides us. He keeps the fear going so that his compatriots, the governors and the mayors and shit, can keep control. Keep that fucking iron fist that they want. Yeah, this is really steamy over here. He told staffers to be honest in surveys. This is early on about marijuana use, and then they were fired. He picked Harris because she was a black woman, not because she was qualified, not because she was going to bring something to the party. No, because she checked boxes. And I think the same thing with Pete Buttigieg. A small town mayor, and he's going to be in control of the transportation all across America. Wow, not good choices. But again, those are there's 3 boxes checked right there. They wanted out of Afghanistan. They wanted that victory. They wanted to say, look, we ended this endless war. And they didn't care that people died. They didn't care that people were left behind. They didn't care that billions of dollars of technology, military technology, was left behind. They didn't care. They were only concerned with trying to get a V. That was it. A V or a W, however you want to look at it. A victory or a win. The border fucking explodes, and he's letting illegal immigrants into the country with the promise to return. Yeah, right. And he's not even requiring that they get vaxxed. Yet people are losing their jobs because they don't want to comply. It doesn't. The man. Look, I'm vaccinated. I'm all for the vaccine. If you want to get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. Maybe they're saying it helps. I'll take them at their word for that. Whatever. I think I've gotten sick a couple times now, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. Whatever. But mandates, nah. And he doesn't even mandate it at the border. He lets people in the country illegally on the promise to appear. Inflation, driven by high energy costs. And the first thing he did when he got in, number uno fuck up on his part, he kills the Keystone Pipeline. Ooh, the environmentalists, the far left, cry, yes, victory, victory. None for you, but all for me. And they're all happy as pigs in shit. Well, meanwhile, that same crude oil is going to come into America, by train or boat or truck, okay? So the pipeline was greener and it provided jobs. Oh, but he's going to create jobs in solar. Yeah, if you cost people 1 million jobs and then you bring up, you start 1 million jobs, that's a net zero. But you'll victory, none for you and all for me. And that's all he cares about. He's a puppet on strings. You know? He is playing identity politics in the government, making that a priority. We don't need that right now. We don't need electric vehicles and identity politics, okay? All right? What happened to Floyd, that was a really bad thing. But this is just an overblown, overreaching solution to a problem that people were working on. It was a work in progress. And what he's done is just fucking it all up. You know, instead of trying to unite like he promised, it's about division. Because that's what the far left want. He didn't give a shit about the moderates. He didn't care when Sinema was harassed. He didn't care that they harassed Manchin. Oh, power to him. He's another far left thing is he's putting women's rights ahead of transgender rights in prisons and in sports. It's a slippery slope that it's all downhill. It doesn't, slippery slopes don't level out. They don't come back up. They just, and you're off and you're dead in the ocean. He's politicized the police and law enforcement. He doesn't want them focusing in on the peaceful protesters as much as he wants the DOJ to investigate parents who raise concerns about critical race theory. Schools are hiding what they're doing. So even if what they're doing is good, they're not letting it see the light, and that scares people. And you know it does, and you love doing it. I don't know. All the trolls I know voted for Biden. That's all I know. And speaking of that, if I had voted for Biden, I would be saying the same damn thing right now. I would have said this about Trump, but Trump was not a colossal failure. You can all you want, but we weren't in the shit we were in right now. He's allowing companies to practice censorship. He doesn't mind that the First Amendment goes out the window on places like Facebook. He doesn't mind that social media is killing one side of the conversation, so it's just an echo chamber. That's propaganda, man. You've benefited to the tune of billions of dollars because of the opportunities that the United States afforded you, and you took the reins. People took the reins, the Zuckerbergs of the world. They took the reins and they rode with it. But now you're being ungrateful and you're turning your back on America? Like, what fucking country are you from, buddy? You know, we were talking about lying, you know. He lied about Hunter's involvement in things. He helped cover up things. He conveniently sells Hunter's paintings for $500,000, and somehow we're supposed to believe that people aren't buying favor with him through that? Come on. You know, he participated in the hoax of Russian collusion. He participated in things like the Steele documents. He allowed those things to go through. These are things that he has done. That guy's a piece of shit, man. There's no other way of saying it. You know, he labeled Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist before any of the evidence was presented. And there was evidence that he fired in self-defense and they weren't black, but yet white supremacist. Because that's just the way the far left operates. These anti-fascist fascists that they are. Catch my breath there for a second. And this brings me around to, you know, one of Biden's favorite cheerleaders, my brother. You know, I was mentioning that the Omicron doesn't seem to be as deadly, and maybe we need to ease back on everything and kind of take a chill pill. And then he sends me an article about 2 parents who died and left their kids, you know, orphaned. And I said, that's exactly what I was talking about. When you pray for the winter of death, then you need a winter of death to be vindicated in that statement. And this is true. They cheer when unvaccinated people die. I know that there's a lot of mixed in the anti-vax crowd out there. It's not all just one-sided. But I can only speak on my personal opinions and who I hear it from. You know, even on social media you see it. The Bidenites, the Brandons of the world. We're talking about what they wanted. And this is out of the LA Times. The LA Times is so far left that, you can't go any further. But the first comprehensive data in 2 years shows big setbacks for the students. Colossal loss of dollars as enrollment drops. Of course, my brother says that, well, of course, COVID, but where are they going and are they going to come back? Because for a lot of kids, these charter and these online schools are a much better option because they don't have to deal with some of the stresses that they face, especially nowadays, Kids are having it hard right now. They just flip on their phone and they can see people doing better than them, better looking, better shape, hunkier, sexier. It's all right there, man. And they can't live up to that. And they're being bombarded with ads and new phones every single year. It's got to be tough to be a kid. But this is talking about the drop of enrollment. If a school closes for remote learning, parents should have the right to take their kids and tax dollars elsewhere. And that's school choice. As somebody who pays for my daughter's online school, there are online schools that are free through the public, but hers was a choice of wanting to learn a certain language. So we gotta, obviously, that was my choice, and I will absorb the cost. But at the same time, y'all giving money out like it's candy to all kinds of undeserving people, including prisoners. The Boston bomber, as we recently learned, was going to get a COVID check, and he has to give it to the Victims Relief Fund. But, what else is going on here in California? The highest unemployment rate in the nation. Yeah. That's brilliant. We lead the way in the stupid categories. We really do. I love this one. Apparently, Black Lives Matter is mad at Biden because Biden is putting the military into their communities. This guy, Spike Cohen, just points out the irony of the whole thing. Let you see that? I'm a little bit thirsty right now. Whoopi Goldberg is stunned. She did everything she was supposed to. We can't stop it. Look, I know that's a scary thought, that there's really nothing you can do. But, I see guys in trucks sitting next to each other, and they're both wearing just kind of loose-fitting cloth masks. And I'm just like, dude, does anybody even understand how this works? Like, if one of y'all got it, you both got it at this point. You're breathing out. That mask is not doing anything. We already know right here, this has become very true. This mask is as useless as Biden. Nothing we can do about it. The left, 18-year-olds are not mature enough to weigh decisions about their future, so we're going to pay off their college loans, but a 16-year-old should be allowed to vote. Okay. You see, because it reminds me of the Who song, Won't Get Fooled Again. See, if you're young enough, you haven't been fooled yet. See, you get my age, and you've already been fooled 3 or 4 times, and you're like, enough is enough. For me, it really only took, like I've said before, Clinton and his health care that cost me a lot of time and money at my job, for something that he never delivered on. If I had $1 for every lockdown politician who decided to escape Florida over the last 2 years, I'd be a pretty doggone wealthy man. See, that's a pretty good quote from somebody who should run for president, honestly. But yeah, AOC went down there, and Swalwell went down there. You have a nitwit and a guy, 2 nitwits here. One was actually with a Chinese spy. And they're going down to Florida, even though their side badmouths Florida in hopes that Florida dies of COVID. Ugh. You can't make this up, but this is showing you that pattern of they don't really care what we think anymore. They're just going to do what they're going to do because they're the powers that be. The powers that be. The powers that be. Sorry, that was a Roger Waters break there. You know? I love how he had this quote. I guess I should have been at the beach in Delaware. Yeah, he's with his wife who's undergoing chemotherapy. Come on. You know? I mean, the dude's sitting with his wife having chemotherapy, and then he gets badmouthed by the very same people whose president was just off at the beach. Dead at the beach. You know? Because that's who he is. He doesn't care. He'll tell you there's a crisis because he wants to keep you in fear. But what are they doing? They're trying to pass all of these laws and spend all of this money on things that we don't need right now. We need other things, and the spending's got to slow down because it's only creating the inflation. But you cut off any possibility to get more fuel out of America, and then you go to our enemies and say, you go ahead. You sell natural gas to England, but meanwhile, my acolytes are going to ban natural gas as a heating source in New York and San Jose and other crazy wackadoodle places. I mean, the left can't control inflation, the border, crime, the drug problems, the supply chain problems, Russian aggression, or Chinese slavery. Okay? All right, but they can control the narrative. And how they did that was with the January 6th. All right? You know? That wasn't the first time that happened. May 2020. Police had to stop him from entering the White House. These were all left-wingers. You know? I lost the other one, but they also rioted. Oh, yeah, it was right here. You know, right here, that was, I believe, January 20th of 2017. I believe Trump was getting sworn in or something. That's what it says, the inauguration. God, I'm not on my game right now. I can barely see these for some damn reason. But they were stopped. And this time they weren't. Okay, it was bad. One person legitimately, positively died that day of it, okay? And she was Ashley Babbitt, and she was shot in the head by security. Okay? It was bad. It was ugly. But at least they took the fight where it belonged. And there is reason. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But, you know, Biden saying things like, you can't love your country only when you win. No. Okay? That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about at all. You can't obey the law only when it's convenient. Okay, are you speaking to all of the looters? The smash and grab people? Who? The peaceful protesters. You can't be patriotic when you embrace and enable lies. Well, we've already seen then you're not patriotic. All right? I don't embrace or enable lies. I would rather root them out. Okay? I'll let you read this one for a second here about January 6th. You know, as we've seen, the mob tried to get into the White House, okay? So both sides have done it, and you could have gotten up there and said that. You could have said both sides have acted poorly. Could have. You said you were going to try to unite the nation, but you've lost your own supporters. So they're against you now. So I guess the divide is getting wider. Kamala Harris, see, illegitimate. The 2016 was illegitimate, and that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. She said it 2 years ago. Then she compared January 6th to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. Okay. I mean, she's just batshit crazy. That's her puppet role. It's just to say the batshit crazy stuff. She's like she's like AOC S level. Norm Macdonald, rest in peace. I loved when the violent terrorists made sure to respect the velvet ropes. You know, and this is going right back to that same theme. They don't really care. They want to control the narrative because that's all they can control. 100,000 Americans died of fentanyl. Millions illegally entered. And a few hours of them, you know, scared. A national day of mourning. You see? That's how important they think they are. And that's how unimportant the rest of us are. You know? Drugs, illegal aliens, record crime, costs getting so out of control. Kamala Harris, corporate wants you to find the differences. They're the same picture. Yeah. To her, that's what she's saying. How disrespectful is that? How outlandish and you know? But, you know, she said it was illegitimate. So, you know what? I'm just going to say my piece and leave it at this. Why I have doubt. And if it's all there, it's one of my earlier episodes. Just look for the one sometime when they announced it, and it'll be around there. I haven't figured it out yet because I know what I said, but I said that paper ballots, this mail-in, was going to be a bad idea because no matter who won, the losing side was going to claim foul. Okay? I personally thought it was going to be the left that was calling foul. I thought the roles would be reversed, but they weren't. But why? But why all the doubt? Now that it's over, okay? Why is there doubt? And why am I not convinced by evidence on either side right now? I'm just going with my initial prognosis. You know what I'm trying to say? Because Trump was doing at least an okay job, all right? I can't really think of any really big black marks against him. You didn't like how he reacted to COVID. I get that. But in retrospect, there's nothing he could do. As we've seen, he couldn't have stopped it. Okay? As you could see, his xenophobic travel bans, okay? You guys had to do it too, okay? It makes sense. It's common sense. You know, you try to stem the flow by, you know, cutting off, you know, entry into this country by people from the infected country. Makes sense, right? And Biden seemed like a poor choice. I mean, he didn't seem progressive. He didn't seem like a uniter. He seemed like somebody who had already proven to be adequate at his job as a senator. You know, he didn't do much as vice president other than help cook up the collusion. But here's some stuff that I've heard that plays into my concerns. There's a group, and I forgot what the name was, it was some law group. They had to sue Los Angeles, okay, the county, to get access to the voter rolls. They hadn't cleaned the rolls in 20 years, and they removed 1.5 million voters, okay? The averages across the nation, according to the guy who I heard speaking, who's involved with it or was, I don't remember, okay, because I'm driving and I can't always write stuff down. But about 15 to 20% of the names on a voter roll are ineligible to vote for one reason or the other. They're dead. They moved to a different place. You know, it's a duplicate of a name with a misspelling. Whatever the case may be. Okay, those names exist on voter rolls, and if you got a hold of those people who essentially weren't going to vote because for whatever reason they didn't live there, they weren't alive, whatever duplicate name, whatever misspelled name, stuff like that, right? If you got a hold of that list and you submitted paper ballots in their names, the machine wouldn't know any different. And that's my concern, okay? That may be harder than I think, but it's what I would call reasonable doubt. Anyhow, we're going to skip that. Yeah, we were just talking about narratives and wanting stupid people. And, you know, Virginia had this colossal traffic jam on the I-95. And they immediately started blaming the newly elected Republican governor. not even realizing that hadn't even taken power yet. It was their guy. Because they don't need them educated. They just need them to vote D next to the name. And yeah, you'll say, oh, but they have more college graduates than the Republicans. So if you're going to make fun of somebody's intelligence, you should point out the Republicans, right? Yeah. The problem with that is as we've been learning, college intellectuals are often the most stupid people in the world because they think they're so smart. Whatever comes out of their head butt is going to be right because they thought it. And that's dumb. That kind of arrogance makes you stupid in my book. But, anyhow, that happened. Sotomayor here says that there's 100,000 children, and a lot of them are on ventilators. And it wasn't even true. But it brought up this interesting point right here. Communists are not held back by the truth or shame because they have no moral grounding outside of communism. Now, I don't know if she's a communist. I don't know that. But it does seem like the party really they don't seem to care. Okay? I guess they could yell, Trump lied. But that's not the point. He's not in power right now. Something about the left that really bothers me is that they are arrogant enough to think that they can take on Mother Nature, that they can control the world, that they know what's best because they learned some shit in a book. They went to college. They went to school longer than other people. All right, so I was watching the show and I heard them say, they're burning down our rainforest for beef. And the show was set in America. And I thought to myself, it's not our rainforest. Yeah. It's arrogant of us to tell other countries. Are we providing a solution or just saying, hey, we know that you can make a lot of money from palm oil, but don't cut down any more of this ginormous rainforest? First of all, the rainforest is quite large. I believe it covers more all of Europe. I may have said America in the past, but it's actually Europe. And a lot of the so-called cleaning of the air gets done by the ocean, which is, a lot bigger than the rainforest. Tucker just called out Cruz. And I'm really disappointed in Cruz because I think he was pandering. He was trying to pander to the left a little bit by calling it a terrorist attack. And that saddens me, man. But these are politicians, The game is designed between these two parties to just do whatever they want, it looks like. Joe Rogan. I'm just going to skip that really quick. Did you read that? I need water. That is kind of funny. Again, we could add Tulsi Gabbard. And her basic point here is that the government, instead of worrying about all these mandates and vaccines, should also be worried on just treating people. They are all American after all, Oh, she's got problems. Well, we got to skip a lot of stuff here. Yeah, and see, here's the won't get fooled again. Eggs are bad for you. Margarine is healthier than butter. Low fat is good for you. Get most of your carb calories from grain. See, these are all things that we've already heard and then found out were false. So the older crowd realizes that the left is throwing up smoke screens and basically just stealing money for nonsense and gobbledygook. If you ever find yourself feeling stupid, remember there are adults who believe cloth masks work in 2022. I sent the research to my brother months ago, and he was just like, "Oh, it doesn't say that." Like, it said cloth mask had like what I'm wearing right here is like it got 90% leakage. I'm like breathing right through it. You can see the smoke go through it at the beginning of the video. Leftists being asked to show their vax card to buy food. Leftists being asked to show ID to vote. That's self-explanatory. I just thought, hey, I don't think Yoda's ever been on the show. Yeah. That's what young people who are embracing all of this nonsense really do need to realize. That we've seen this before in other countries, and we know it's coming here. If Liar's Pants really did catch on fire, the news would be much more fun to watch. Yeah. Hercules. I call the ladies muffins, because muffins spelled backwards is. Let's go, Brandon. What a whiner. Yeah. I mean, the people who don't want to work, man, they want all that government handout. But you know what? The rate of inflation, it ain't going to be worth very much. The check you get, you're still probably going to have to like scam the government and work. I know lots of people who did that. Oh, God. And here's my favorite. AOC lays wreath on her grave on January 6th. Oh, my God. Babylon Bee. I don't know what it was this week. I think a lot of creators were just kind of possibly overwhelmed by everything. I just didn't find much out there this week, man. That would really, really tickle me, except, for a couple here. Yeah. Look, man, by now we all know what's going on. Biden is a puppet. The far left is getting their way, and they don't care about us. If they did, they would be prioritizing that instead of this infighting and bickering over these social programs that aren't going to change anything right now. Same thing with Gavin Newsom. God, at least he's appointing some budget money to help with COVID and the spread of misinformation, and that'll come up in July. All right, so he's making news by saying, "Hey, by July, I'm going to have some money." Great. Oh God, these people, they only care about saying the right thing so they get elected again. We've seen it with Cruz, and we've seen it with Biden. We see it with people like AOC and Swalwell, who say, "Ooh, Florida won't get vaxxed. I hope they die. I'll let you know how many die when I'm down there on vacation." See it for what it is, man. Copious out.